Hi everyone, in this video I will use these German Grenadiers to make a Sturmpioniere section and a couple of models from this Soviet box to make 2 German snipers. There will be some conversion work, so let's get on with it. To start with, I need 5 Germans. There are 6 per sprue, but 2 on each sprue are wearing what is called a Zeltbahn camo smock, and I want to avoid these. I only want the ones in standard German uniform, so I'll choose some off 2 different sprues. Warlord Games figures, they don't have masses of flash or many issues with them, but there are a few mould lines that need to be removed. Four of the 5 infantry in this section will be mostly standard, but one has to be a flamethrower, and that's where the conversion comes in. I chose an STG-44 to be the flamethrower, so removing the barrel and the magazine should give an acceptable base for the weapon. I'll use a spare Panzerfaust as the long part of the flamethrower. I'll use a pin as an awl to mark the centre and a suitable drill bit to form the hole. It's only one and it's only shallow, so I won't bother using my pin vise, I'll just do it by hand. After chopping off the shaped charge, I'll use flames from a Molotov cocktail out of the Soviet box on the end. I'll lie that flat to solidify while I work on the rest of the section. That consists of 2 riflemen, 1 submachine gunner with a Panzerfaust, and a submachine gun armed NCO with his fist held up. That fist is taken from the Soviet kit. Using the matching arm that was designed to hold the STG-44, it should mean that the flamethrower is held correctly. The fuel tank is from a 40k AUK kit and will simply be mounted on his back. After little chopping, it fits okay, and wire is used as the fuel pipes. Plastic glue will not stick the wire, of course, but if the plastic is melted enough inside the holes, I'm hoping it will grip enough. And currently I don't have any super glue with me. I'll attach the tank before the end of the pipe. Once everything is solid, the pipe is trimmed to length and then stuck on the rear of the weapon. I hope it looks good enough to pass muster as a flamethrower. All that remains is to add the extra equipment to the sections. That's bread bags, canteens, gas masks, entrenching tools and so on. These add a lot of detail and finish off the section. Onto the snipers. These are made from 2 Soviet prone figures. as there's no prone Germans in the box I have. There are 2 different leg poses, however, and so that means they can be individual and not both in the same pose. Now I don't have a German sniper rifle, so I'm going to steal the scope from a Mosin Nagant 91 and add it to the KAR 98. At this scale I don't think it will matter, but it's a different looking scope. The German arms don't fit perfectly with the Soviet shoulders, but I'll make them fit eventually. I pop the head on now before the gun is completely solid. This way I can adjust the gun and the head at the same time without one falling off. This is why sometimes I prefer Rebel Contactor to Tamiya Extra Thin. You have a lot more working time with Contactor, the Extra Thin sets a lot quicker, although I do get a free bottle of it every year, so I'm not going to knock it. The spotter gets a set of binoculars, and again I can adjust those whilst everything is still semi-liquid. His other arm is a mix of a German arm and again a Soviet fist from the Soviet box. Strangely, the German kit has no hands that aren't holding something. Now the gun and head are on, I can add the scope to the sniper. The spotter goes into his base just fine, but with the sniper he has one elbow up. I decided that he was going to be resting on a bag. It's a strange position and I've never laid in that sort of position when shooting prone myself, and it looks rather uncomfortable, but maybe Hans is just unique. I didn't film adding the sand to the bases or these cloaks. They're just made from paper soaked with diluted down PVA. Their purpose is to hide the fact that they are German snipers but have Soviet bodies. Real snipers in World War II generally didn't use such cloaks. Snipers were generally disliked and so wanted to not stand out if they were ever captured. These are inspired by the look of the snipers in the movie Enemy at the Gates. It might not be a particularly accurate movie, but I do think it looks quite good. And these are a little bit of poetic license to cover up the obvious uniform issues, and hopefully they'll look a lot better when painted. Now onto the painting. They've been primed with Citadel Grey Sear, and I will be painting all of them with Citadel contrast paints. And I'll be following the tutorial by Sonic Sledgehammer. I'll link to his video in the description below where he goes through this scheme. I'll start with a Zeltbahn camo. That means an all-over base of skeleton horde. Being contrast paint, it's an easy way to get easy highlights and shadow with no effort. Once that is dry, I will start the pattern with Creed camo. This is painted in irregular straight-sided shapes, mostly triangles all over the camo. The same is done with witchwood to finish off the camo pattern. Snakebite leather next, not for the leather though, this is for canteens and any wooden parts such as rifle stocks. The leather is actually done in Cygor brown. Here leather equipment was quite a dark brown colour. Once this is done, I'll go back in with grey cere from a pot and a brush, just to neaten up the edges. Because I'm using contrast paint, anywhere where something such as the Cygor brown look has gone will show up under the lighter colours. I just want them neater. It's exactly the same colour as the primer, so isn't noticed. The skin gets a base colour of wraithbone. This will help it look a little bit warmer when I add the contrast. This is just the face's hands and arms, there's no other flesh to be seen. The contrast for the skin is Gullum and Flesh. I just need to make sure I get all of the skin. Onto the Feldgrau, Eek. Sonic Sledgehammer makes a good point in his video that there's no real standard here. It can vary from being quite green to being quite grey, depending on the manufacturer of the garment and the age of it and how much wear it's had. I'll use his method of Basilicanum Grey and Creed Camo in a rough 2-to-1 mix. This is for the uniform. There's not too much visible on the snipers because of the cloak I've put on, but plenty on the rest. Here you can see the great effect of the contrast paint, creating shadows and highlights without the extra levels of painting and layers that I'll do on other models. It's an effective way to get lots of models painted very quickly. Militarum Green is next. This is for things like the bread bag, the entrenching tool cover, gas mask canister, and on this model is gaiters. Templar is for all the metal parts, the binoculars, gun barrels and the top of the canteen. The base will get a wash of very thin armour brown from Vallejo Model Air. Apparently a snail camo was needed at this point. It's disgusting. Back to the bases. I promise it will look better when dry. Last details to paint are the lens of the sniper scope, and I'll dry brush yellow over the flames with red to make them look more flame-like. After a matte coat to protect them because they will be handled, my personal choice is Winder & Newton matte. I'll add some autumn 2mm static grass. I'll use my homemade static grass applicator, and yes, it does work better because of the googly eyes. PVA is used. It will, of course, stick the grass to the base, but will also help to conduct the electricity, creating the static charge that will cause the grass to stand up instead of just laying down. That's why it's called static grass after all, not because it just doesn't move. scraping off the excess, it's left to dry and will look better when the PVA is dried and isn't white. And here are the finished models. I wanted to convert from standard infantry because although you can get snipers and the Sturmpioniers as a set, their metal and their design slightly differently. Although they look like German infantry, they don't quite 100% match the plastic grenadiers I've already got, and this just helps them fit and look more of a coherent army. For all you scale modelers and non-gamers out there, don't worry, I will have an aircraft build soon, I promise. But until next time, thanks for watching, keep modelling and have fun. Bye.